Good afternoon, friends, lovers, and fans of PewDiePie. This video is obviously about him because it's apparently necessary. I follow a lot of reaction channels or whatever, and none of them have done a video on this Nazi man. Why? Because they're all white men and they all sort of don't do anything to really rock the boat of the power structures that ultimately benefit them. So that's why I'm here, honeys. I'm here to do the service that we so desperately need. Some of the creators that I have mentioned actually sometimes talk about PewDiePie. That would be I'm Alex and Eddie Burback, who generally are decent people, but they also are like afraid to critique PewDiePie, and also in a way, sort of in like a roundabout way, because they never say anything truly negative about this guy. They are sort of supporting him, in my opinion. I believe that there should be no leeway when it comes to anti-Semitism and racism, because it has no place in our society. And I mean, like, ultimately, I'm not sure if I'm Alex and Eddie Burback just don't know or if they just don't care. Both are bad. To get past the disappointment in men that we actually stan, let's get to the disappointment of men that we don't stan. I know that those of you out there don't like that I, a Jew, know what anti-Semitism is, and it really, like, hurts your buttholes. Like, I know that they're quivering right now because I have seen your comments on my other videos. And I don't care because, as a Jew, I'm the only kind of person that'll actually talk about this shit, because you guys are all babies, wimpy, whiny babies that PewDiePie has whipped into submission because you think that he is your white YouTube god. And I don't get it. And it's not cool. This is not the first time that PewDiePie has been anti-Semitic or racist on the internet. He's also a misogynist, but that's some tea for another day. And I honestly couldn't give a shit about feminism right now because it leaves Jews and trans people out in the fucking dirt, and I'm sick and tired of it. So, if you don't know who PewDiePie is, he basically is sucking the giant YouTube phallus for all kinds of 7-year-old subscribers, because that's who watches YouTube, is me and a bunch of 7-year-olds. So I knew that this wasn't sort of the first time, because he did something anti-Semitic a little bit ago. I knew that this wasn't the first time that he had done something like this, so I figured, let's look into the backlogs and figure out what the heck happened. So basically, I was able to find on Vox that PewDiePie, in his most recent time, he sort of promoted a Nazi's channel because he said that he liked this anime review that was on this guy's channel, and it ended up being that the guy's a Nazi, and people knew this and were like, you're promoting a Nazi. Of course, PewDiePie, like all white men, said, but I just like that one video. Like, I mean, you can separate the artist from the art. No, honey, you actually cannot do that, because artwork is all products of an artist's life and views. Everything's political, my dude. PewDiePie even said in this thing, I said publicly a year and a half ago that I was going to distance myself from Nazi jokes and that kind of stuff, because I want nothing to do with it. Generally, I've done that. I don't really have a reason to dip into that again. It's just stupid. Yet here we are, because you actually haven't distanced yourself and the shit that you enjoy from Nazis. But, like I said, that this is just sort of like another sort of like mark on this long sort of system of him being a Nazi. It was found in this Vox article. PewDiePie's endorsement of the ER channel continues a long trend of the vlogger using his influence in a way that helps to normalize white supremacist alt-right rhetoric to an alarming, and on YouTube, increasingly widespread degree. In 2016 and 2017, PewDiePie faced backlash. He included a video where Nazis and where he used the Nazi Heil Hitler salute, and he also hired a pair of performers to hold up a sign reading "Death to all Jews." So, yeah. He also used a racist slur during a live stream, which we should know by now is not acceptable. If you're going to use these words when you're angry, you use them other times when you're not angry. And I'm just going to continue reading from this article because this next section is, I couldn't say it better myself. So, the frustrating nature of PewDiePie's flirtation with alt-right culture is that by repeatedly dismissing criticism as oversensitivity and insisting he's just being satirical, he maintains the plausible deniability that the alt-right counts on to aid in distilling its message throughout mainstream culture. So basically, when you aren't having a hard line on this is anti-Semitic and you need to fucking stop, and this is possibly okay because, he only did it one time, you are basically sort of giving a free pass to other people to be anti-Semitic, especially when you're someone like PewDiePie who has an insane, reach among his followers. You're basically saying that the people that follow him can also be anti-Semitic and racist because they're seeing him do it. And especially because so much of his audience is so young and impressionable, he's basically leading the way for a new wave of young anti-Semites and racists. If you don't have a zero tolerance policy on anti-Semitism like I do, you can get the fuck out of here. And you can also fucking ban yourself from YouTube and the internet, please. If you don't realize just how bad anti-Semitism and racism is right now, stay tuned, I guess, or read a book or the newspaper because it's literally everywhere. So just to add on into this disgusting mix that we've made of all of PewDiePie's past whatevers, he did at one point utilize a clip of a guy dressed as Jesus holding a sign that said, or saying that Hitler did nothing wrong. It speaks for itself. And then PewDiePie also joked in another now deleted video that it's a little bit ironic that Jews somehow found another way to fuck Jesus over. What the fuck? If you don't know what the heck I'm talking about or why that is anything, it's because uneducated Christians seem to think that Jews killed Jesus. And I just want you to think about that for a little bit. Who killed Jesus? It was the Romans because they wanted control over a sedated Jewish empire. So, what did they do? They killed the person who was at the time the in vogue leader of the newest Jewish uprising. Who was that? It was Jesus. You can read all about it if you want to actually read a book instead of watching YouTube. But there's actually a lot of really great reading material where you can learn about the history of this, because one of the biggest things for anti-Semitism that a lot of people don't realize is that it is compounded history that acts on itself and acts on older references to itself. So, yeah. Also, just believe what Jews are talking about when they say that something's anti-Semitic, because if I have another one of you going into my comments and saying that it's not anti-Semitic and I'm just being a sensitive Jew, then I want you to know that you're no better than any Nazi. So in February of 2017, PewDiePie also made a video where he compared himself to Hitler, gave a Nazi salute, showed a series of clips of Nazi imagery, including a crowd of Nazis saluting, Nazi soldiers marching, and footage of Hitler Youth. I'm just floored because you really cannot make this shit up and then people still don't want to believe that it's happening or talk about it. When giant ass people on the YouTube platform are Nazis, it means that there's something really fucking bad going on. Also, like, there was an issue with Twitter. Like, I could talk about that, but this is one video on one person that it's just sort of like exemplifying an issue within a larger issue. Yes. And I, like, can't explain to you why Nazism is a bad thing because, first of all, that's not my job. Second of all, I don't need to expend that emotional labor on you, because you can do that research yourself if you are not already aware. And I do not know how to make you an empathetic person who cares about other human beings that are actually physically, emotionally, mentally scarred by this stuff. Like, 11 people were shot 10 minutes from where I live, okay? Like, people are killed in the name of anti-Semitism. And anti-Semitism can be spread through means like YouTube because you can use it as a propaganda machine, basically. People are really susceptible to ideas and belief systems. And if you know how to use rhetoric and, like, leverage that and leverage influence, that can be really, really powerful. And in addition to that, like, Nazis have a systematic, like, historical way of sort of, like, rallying around hatred and slaughter of human beings over arbitrary differences. And, like, this just sort of continues to, like, separate society and make us hate each other for stupid reasons. And that it just don't work, okay? Like, I cannot continue to talk about this in an attempt to make you care about other people and understand why Nazism is bad. But to get into something that I found incredibly interesting, is, like, why is PewDiePie the way that he is? Why is this man a Nazi? So, he grew up in Sweden. That's all white people. There's maybe 2 Jews left there, okay? He also then moved to Italy, like, right at the tail end of the Eurozone crisis. And we know that Nazism sort of spikes after an economic crisis. Hence, the rise of Nazism and the Third Reich after World War I, when Germany was screwed over financially. Like, it happened after World War I, which then led us into World War II. The Eurozone crisis is still having issues today, especially in countries like Greece, Italy, Spain, okay? Like, those countries are still dealing with Euroscepticism caused by the Eurozone crisis. If you want information on that, like, I guess I could hook you up, but I just know about this because I took a class on it. And then you also have the UK, which literally left the EU because it was that Eurosceptic. So PewDiePie moved from Italy to now the UK. Like I said, the most Eurosceptic country in Europe. What this means is they don't believe in European integration. They think globalization is bad, which is some fascist Nazi rhetoric in there. And the UK screwed itself over financially. If you've been living under a rock by doing this, I'm not going to make a video about this economic crisis because it's not something I am especially knowledgeable on. But we know that because of the Euroscepticism in the UK and Brexit, they have had a huge spike in hate crimes. I want you to look at this figure. Hate crimes are in, like, red. That's just all hate crimes. Race-based hate crimes are in blue, and that's separated from anti-Semitic hate crimes, which are in gray, because anti-Semitic hate crimes are both based on ethnicity and religion, whereas race-based hate crimes is mostly towards Black people because people hate Black people for some unknown reason. The whole point of me bringing this up is just that, like, PewDiePie is the product of a very much isolated and insulated white upbringing, followed by moving to 2 really, really white racist countries. So it's just sort of like he's been living in this culture his whole life that, like, even if he stopped being anti-Semitic and racist, he would still have tendencies for this, which is fine, and you can do better, and you can grow up in those types of living situations and not hate Black people or Jews, but he hasn't done that and continues to have a platform and continues to make subtle references and subtle promotions of anti-Semitic, Nazi-based stuff. What I'm trying to say is you have to stop supporting him until he changes and stops being a hateful, garbage, anti-Semite, and racist. Like, there's no reason to be supporting him. There's so many better creators out there on the platform. There's people that we just know aren't racist. Like, support them instead. You know, there's tons of amazing, non-hateful, like, reaction people on the platform. Like, go follow Cody Ko and Noel Miller and Danny Gonzalez and Drew Gooden and Eddie Burback. And I know that they're all white men, except for Noel, who's mixed. But just don't. Subscribe to me, maybe, because I'm a Jewish queer person doing these types of videos. You know, something different from what we've been promoting, which is white men. And white men tend to be more racist and more hateful because they think that the existence of other people that aren't like them will reduce the amount of power that they have in society, which is not true, but that's what they believe. And to just sort of like close this out, I want to remind you that being hateful is never in vogue and it's absolutely unacceptable. And being a part of PewDiePie's support system and support base is feeding into this system that ultimately harms queer people, people of color, Jews, like all these disenfranchised groups of people. Okay, so like you gotta not do that and actually find your humanity and care about people. We exist in a society that's meant to help each other and better each other's lives. So if you are a part of systems that hurt people, you need to reevaluate your life. So I want to leave you with a quote from a prolific Jewish writer who changed my life. I swore never to be silent whenever and wherever humans endure suffering and humiliation. We must always take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented. Elie Wiesel. With that, I want to leave you. Think about what I have said. You know, it might not click today, but maybe it'll click sometime this week. And, you know, maybe you can look more into this. And I encourage you to do some soul searching if you are on the fence about this or support PewDiePie. So please stop supporting him and support disenfranchised peoples instead. Thank you for watching. All my links are down below. And I will see you next time.
Oh, Mamma Mia, here I go again. How could I resist you? Mamma Mia, does it show